This is my old comms link, which I bought many years ago, and I've modified it here to actually, I've taken the RS232 chip off and put a little socket on there so that I can attach different devices, because this is a sort of general purpose board. It's got these pins down here which mean it was designed to be attached to all sorts of different hardware. Now if I start it up and we load the code in, you can see there's comms as usual, and it's running as the 2-line version of the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the ROM out and put the latest code on there, which didn't exist when I bought this. The 4-line LZ hadn't come out when I bought this comms adapter. Now I've bought some ROM chips. They're here, you can see the footprint's the same, and what I found when I bought these, I thought, oh, simple, buy some chips, put them in an adapter and then program them, put them on the board. Unfortunately they don't fit in the adapter, they're slightly too wide. So what I ended up having to do, I just couldn't find an adapter that would fit that sort of package. I ended up soldering them to this adapter, programming them, taking them off and then putting them back on the board, which did work. I changed a P250 to I think an XP, and that worked fine. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take this chip, solder it on there, and then program it, take it back off and put it on this PCB, and then see whether I get the 4-line version of the code here, because that would be quite nice. So here we go. I've taken the ROM off and I programmed another one, which, as you probably guessed by it being in my hand, didn't work. So the problem was, and here's one that I put on that actually does work. The problem was that the image I'd put into this chip here was just the straight comms 4.2 image. Unfortunately, on the CommsLink PCB, the data lines and some of the address lines are actually jumbled up. Now it's probably been done for PCB layout reasons, and it's fine. It just means that you need to have a jumbled up image and not the plain image, which is what I put in this chip here. So I was going to create a script to do the jumbling, and I had a look through some of my code and found that I'd actually was aware of this, and I'd written an unjumbling script at some point to take the image that was on there and jumble it back and check, presumably, that it matched some other image I was using. So I did know about this, but must have forgotten. So because these are OTP chips, that's just rubbish now. Fortunately, before I went through the effort of creating a script to do the jumbling, Martin Prest actually had an image which turned out to be exactly the right one. So I've put the image in this chip and it works, so that is good. Along the way, because these chips are too wide, they're 330mm, not 300mm SO28s. I had to use this solder on adapter, so I'd have to solder it on, program it, desolder it, then solder it onto the PCB, because they don't fit in this adapter. So what I did, I thought it would probably be possible, is I took the adapter and sawed it in half, and then you can attach the IC using these spring clips, and there's a nice little ridge here that holds the pins that side of the bend. That bend gets caught on a little bit of plastic here, which is really nice because it means the thing holds together quite nicely. And that's how I programmed this one. And it's a lot easier than mucking around with this. So I'm not going to use that anymore. I'm going to use my special expanding SO28 adapter. So you can do that because the pins are just coming, or the connections on the PCB are just coming from this side of the socket through to pins on that side of the PCB. It means there are no tracks running down the middle, and you can just cut the thing in half and it's fine. It's a bit of a job though, there's quite a lot of plastic and board, but you can do it. So if I take my XP and plug it in, and I'm going to make sure I actually get that in the right holes. If I turn that on and do the normal on, you can see that comms has appeared, and it's running, so you can see that it's running in the 2-line mode. This has got no serial device attached to it. I've taken the RS232 device off, and I've got wires going to a socket that's got nothing into it. So it works with the XP. Let me do the same thing with my LZ I got here. So if I load up the program, there's comms, and when it runs it's 4-line. So this is 4.2, which is later than this one. This is a 2-line only version of code, which is on there originally, and this is a 4-line or 2-line version of the code. So it works. You can upgrade the ROM to 4.2 on these 2-line comms links. So that's good news. Success finally.